Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're all doing well. So yesterday I was actually a part of a guest panel in a finance seminar, and it was really a great opportunity. Really enjoyed myself. And as you can imagine, a lot of the common questions were around, personal finances. We also spoke a lot about property and also getting started with investing, so even like stocks and shares. But one area that was really highlighted was the area of, getting on property ladder and how to save for that first property. Like, let's be honest, we all know that property is one of those things that is likely the most expensive thing that you need to save for in your lifetime, if you are interested in getting into property or buying a property for residential purposes. And so because we know property is such a huge purchase, like sometimes it can seem like a bit unattainable and a bit I guess intimidating, especially maybe if you're somebody that's not on the highest salary, or maybe you're just thinking like, how on earth am I going to put together this deposit? So I thought I'd put together this video just to talk you through some key things that you can be implementing to save for that house deposit a lot faster, in 2021. Right, so before I get onto the ways that you can save for a house faster, I just quickly want to say that I have done a similar video like this in the past. I think maybe it was last year, where I spoke about, some ways that you can use to save for a house. So this video is really more of an update, and I'd highly recommend going back to watch that video, which I'll link in the cards. Okay, so without further ado, tip number one is to do a joint venture if you're trying to save for a house a lot faster. So joint venturing is essentially like just partnering up with somebody else to save that house deposit faster. The personal people that you joint venture with could be friends, family members, people that you know immediately, and you can also extend it out to people that maybe you don't really know in that sort of close proximity. I also want to add that when you joint venture, it's not necessarily a case whereby all parties will be putting money into the property. No, that's not the case. With a joint venture, one person can be, responsible for bringing the funds. Maybe they've got the capital. Another person could be the one with the property knowledge and experience. So essentially, they would sort of manage the whole property investment project. So yeah, joint venturing is not necessarily about, splitting the cost 50-50. It's about, other things that you can bring to the table. Now, to further elaborate on the area of joint venturing with people that maybe are outside of your circle, so outside of your friends and your family that you immediately know, you're going to have to invest a lot more time in sort of building those relationships, because at the end of the day, nobody's just going to part of their money, with you without really knowing you or establishing that actually they can trust that the money is going to be returned to them. So a key way to do this is to basically be somebody that's in, the public eye, that is known for doing something. As well as this, you're going to need to be able to present the facts and figures to the investors that you want to get funds from, because at the end of the day, you need to reassure them, of the plan as to how you intend to pay them back. So, why is the deal that you're looking to invest in so good? Why is it going to generate such a high return? Things like that. You need to be able to come up with these figures and present it in a clear way to your investors. The second tip that you can implement to save for a house faster is to utilize all of the government incentives available to you. Now, by using government incentives, you're going to need to start with a residential property first, because all of the incentives available are currently only for like first time buyers and people buying residential properties, not investment properties. Now, I know that if starting your property investment journey is what you're really after and keen about, hearing me say that you might first want to get a residential property is probably not what you want to hear. But to be honest, this is a really good way to get started with your investment journey, and that's simply because access to getting a residential property is a lot easier, and it's a lot cheaper to get a residential property than it is to get, a buy-to-let in the first instance. There are also a lot of government incentives that will help you get a residential property versus none really that are available for, investment purchases. So for example, you can get a residential property with as little as a 5% deposit. Now, I know a lot of people say that, interest rates are really high with these kind of mortgage products, but you just never know. And at the end of the day, the option is still there. Whereas with a buy-to-let property, the minimum that you can get away with is a 20% deposit. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the government incentives that are available to you if you're buying a residential property. So first of all, you've got the lifetime ISA. So with the lifetime ISA, it's basically a savings account that basically helps you to save towards, your first property or retirement. So, either one of those you can use the money in that account for. Now, with the lifetime ISA, whatever money you deposit into that account on a yearly basis, the government will give you a 25% bonus on top of that, up to a maximum of £4,000. So you cannot save more than £4,000 in that account each year. Now, it is a little annoying that they've capped it at £4,000 each year, but at the end of the day, if you can put in £4,000 each year into that account, you'll get a £1,000 bonus from the government, which is money that definitely helps you on your property journey. The second government incentive that you can utilize is the 5% deposit mortgages that are actually available. Now, I spoke about this earlier on, but yeah, essentially just a 5% deposit is all that you'll need to get a residential property, which I think is very, very good. Of course, there is the case of, high interest rates, but one thing that I always say is that, when it comes to mortgage products, it's always going to be on an individual basis. So at least have the conversation with mortgage brokers and advisors first before writing it off. See for yourself if the interest is truly ridiculous and something that you cannot afford to pay. If after having a conversation with a broker you find that actually no, the interest is okay, then why not go for it? At the end of the day, it's sort of the foundation for you to get started with your property journey. You don't want to forget that one of the major reasons to invest in property or to buy property is because you benefit from capital appreciation, which is truly a big thing. So for example, my property that I bought in 2019 has already increased in value by £30,000. So you can see for yourself, that's a serious amount of money. If you're trying to save that money for yourself, how long would it take for you to save that? The next government incentive that you can utilize is the Help to Buy equity loan. Now, this is very similar to the 5% deposit mortgages that are available, but with this one, basically, yes, you still have your 5% deposit, but then the government will give you a loan for the balance required for the deposit. So let's say you require, a 15% deposit for a property, then you put down your 5% and the government will give you a loan of the other 10% that's required to make that 15%. Now, that loan that the government gives you is interest free for the first 5 years, and then after those 5 years, then they start to charge interest and it increases on an annual basis. So what you really want to do if you choose to go down this route is basically have a plan in place to pay off that government loan within those first 5 years. Third tip to save for a house faster is to reduce your accommodation costs or your living costs. So first of all, if you're somebody that is able to, stay at home, live with family, then please do so. Make the most of it because paying rent really isn't easy and it's not cheap. So yeah, if you're somebody that's in a position like me to be able to stay at home with family, with, parents, then do so, make the most of it. However, if this isn't an option for you, I do understand that some people aren't, fortunate enough to be able to stay with family and live with parents. If this is the case, then rather than renting out a whole flat for yourself, maybe you can do a flat share. So get a flat whereby, you're just renting out a room and not the whole property. That's definitely going to be a lot cheaper and help you save towards your property a lot faster. If you want to take it a step further and really expedite that process for yourself, then maybe in renting out a room, you can opt for the smaller room in a property, again, just to be able to save a bit more money on a monthly basis. Tip number 4 is to monetize your passions and your skills. So are you good at hair, nails, other beauty treatments? If you are, then set up a business and start charging people for these services. If services like that aren't really you, then maybe you can offer more of a local service to your neighborhood. So things like maybe helping with gardening work and I don't know, delivery stuff, picking things up, those kind of things. Whatever you can do, try and monetize that and get people to pay you for that as a service. And of course, there's social media what I'm doing. So there's affiliate marketing, content creating, YouTube, for example, getting paid whenever, people watch ads on your videos. There's so many ways that you can, make money nowadays. So basically you just need to look within, find something that you can do on a consistent basis that can help you generate that money a lot quicker and save for your property. Tip number 5, you may want to get an additional job, maybe on a temporary basis. Now, I know that this may not be sustainable long term just because it may be tiring, but I've heard of so many cases whereby people are making loads of additional money each month by doing Uber or Deliveroo and things like that. So whatever it can that you can pick up as, a side job, additional job for income, definitely do that because this can really help you with your saving journey. Tip number 6 is to meal prep. So leave eating out and takeaways to literally occasions. It's not every day, it's not every week. When you're really serious about saving for something like a property, you just really need to be able to deny yourself for a period. I'm not saying cut it all out altogether, but reduce these things and do your own cooking at home. Do your food shop and cook meals for yourself at home on a more regular basis. This helps so much. How about this? Let me give you a little challenge. Can you commit to only spending £100 to £125 on your food shop on a monthly basis, and then, you know, see how that takes you in terms of like your savings journey. I guarantee you'll be able to save a lot more if you only spend that much on a monthly basis on your, you know, on your food. Now, I understand, obviously, if you're a family, this is not going to be doable. You know, this is more for those people that are only like shopping for themselves and maybe they're a single person. Obviously, if you're a family or, you know, you have somebody else to cater to, then you're going to have to adjust that accordingly. But yeah, just try and see where you can like reduce your food spend. Tip number 7 is to say no to Klarna. So basically, no to using credit to buy things that you know naturally you can't afford. You should only use a credit card to pay for things within the month that basically you know you can afford to pay back at the end of the month. Do not, and I repeat, do not use credit to buy things that you know you just want but you know you can't afford and you don't need. Like, actually, it's not worth it, especially when you know you've got your eyes fixed on a bigger thing, which is saving for a property. At the end of the day, when you buy on credit, you're basically like just building up more debt for yourself, so it's not really helping your savings journey. Limit yourself to only spending, you know, what you can afford to spend. And now this leads me very nicely onto tip number 8, which is to budget. So you need to be accountable for your money and where it goes. So when you get paid on a monthly basis, how are you spending your money? You need to note this down. So if you don't already, you'll want to get a budget tracker. If you don't have a budget tracker, I have linked mine in the description box so you can use that. It helps you to also manage things like your debt as well as, you know, your monthly outgoings. So your expenses, the essential expenses, as well as sort of like, you know, your wants and your luxury spends. So definitely grab that, you know, if you want to, in the description box. Now, budgeting is also about challenging yourself to save more than the bare minimum. So like having a tracker will really help you to, you know, identify and note down what your essential expenses are on a monthly basis. And then after you've identified that, then you can put your money into other buckets. So then after that, what I tend to do is identify like the maximum that I can save in a month, especially if I know that I'm saving towards something in particular and I'm trying to expedite that process. So let's take the 50-30-20 rule, for example. Now, the 50 is basically the things that you need for like, you know, your living essentials. The 30 is basically the money that you spend on like, you know, your wants, using your luxuries. And then the 20% is basically like how much you're going to save or put towards debt. But I would actually suggest, you know, flipping that around a little bit. So the 20 can actually be the money that you spend on, you know, the things that you want to do, the things that aren't, you know, necessities. And then the 30% can be actually what you commit to saving on a monthly basis. You know, how about trying something like that? At the end of the day, it's all about trying to see how you can tweak, you know, your day-to-day living to be able to save that much more to, you know, expedite the saving process for your property. Again, I'm going to plug my budget tracker because I think it's pretty good. So within my tracker, there's a summary section at the bottom which helps to show you basically that, you know, this is how much you've saved, but really this is how much more that you could be saving. So like, I feel like having a summary like that can really help to push and challenge you to save more than what you thought maybe you could do. Tip number 9 is to review your utility bills, your insurance, and your subscriptions, you know, things like that on a very regular basis. So, you know, on a monthly basis if you can, but at least, you know, on an annual basis for things like maybe car insurance. Now, for example, car insurance, I've saved like £200 this year just by switching. Like, do not get complacent. Do not just let it roll over on an annual basis. Review these things regularly to see where you can get a better deal elsewhere. Subscriptions. We all know how easy it is to forget about, you know, all the subscriptions that we have going, particularly when they're things that we don't use. So what you want to do is review, you know, your bank statements to see, you know, all the money coming out of your account and identify those subscriptions that you aren't even utilizing and then cut them out. Like, you know, save yourself that money. And now, last but not least, tip number 10 is to basically have no spend months. So these are months where basically you don't make any like significant purchases, whether it's clothes, shoes, or anything like that. Basically, you don't really spend money on the things that you don't need to. Maybe you can have a cheeky takeaway, but yeah, you just don't spend money like that. Now, I know it may seem like, you know, a bit frustrating, especially if you're somebody that is used to, you know, buying yourself like clothing, for example, every month, but just cut it out for a few months in the year and you'll see how much more money that you are able to save. Like, it's actually a big deal. Yeah, at the time it may not feel great, but when you just think about the fact that, you know, you are saving towards something that is bigger and is going to benefit you a lot more than just spending the money on things that, you know, like clothes that you buy it today and then the next day or the time that you actually wear it, you don't really feel that much buzz about the item. then yeah, it's definitely a good idea to be able to deny yourself that thing for that short period of time, and then just think about the future. Think about the fact that you are trying to save towards this bigger, more meaningful purchase, may I say. But yeah, those have been my tips for saving towards your house a lot faster. Hopefully you found them useful and you found something that you can implement. Please do let me know in the comments like which of these tips you're going to start implementing, and let me know how your journey is going. As always, please do let me know if you have any other topic areas that you'd like me to cover, and I will do so. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.